If you enjoyed this podcast, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing to the channel. Chapter 1: The Sacred Paradox, When Compassion Meets the Call to Arms. Part 1: The Principle of Ahimsa, Non-Violence as Supreme Law. The Principle of Ahimsa, Non-Violence as Supreme Law. In the sacred books of the Hindus, there is a great teaching that stands above all others. This teaching is called Ahimsa. Ahimsa means never hurting any living thing. The holy books say, Ahimsa paramo dharma. This means that not hurting others is the highest law of life. This law is not just about not killing. It means we should never cause pain to any creature in any way. We should not hurt with our hands. We should not hurt with our words. We should not even think bad thoughts that might cause pain to others. The teaching tells us to protect all life, people, animals, birds, and even the smallest insects. The wise men who wrote the holy books taught that every living being has a soul inside. When we hurt any creature, we hurt that soul. When we protect and care for all life, we follow God's will. The holy books say that the person who follows Ahimsa becomes pure and reaches God. All the great teachers of the Hindu faith taught this same truth. They said that kindness and gentleness must be our way of life. They taught that we should give food to the hungry, water to the thirsty, and help to those in need. We should speak softly and treat everyone with love. But this creates a great problem for those who must fight. If not hurting anyone is the highest law, then how can a warrior ever lift his sword? How can a king ever go to war? This question troubled many good people who had to face enemies but also wanted to follow God's law. This is the great puzzle that makes the question of war so difficult in the Hindu way of thinking. Part 2: The Warrior's Dilemma on the Battlefield of Kurukshetra. The Warrior's Dilemma on the Battlefield of Kurukshetra. When Prince Arjuna reached the great field of Kurukshetra, he asked his chariot driver Krishna to take him between the two armies. He wanted to see who he would have to fight. As his chariot moved forward, Arjuna looked at the enemy army lined up for battle. What he saw made his heart break. There stood his grandfather Bhishma, the old man who had raised him with love. There was his teacher, Drona, who had taught him how to use the bow and arrow. He saw his cousins, the 100 Kaurava brothers, and many uncles and family friends. All of them were ready to fight against him. Arjuna's hands began to shake. His famous bow Gandiva felt too heavy to hold. His mouth became dry and his legs felt weak. He sat down in his chariot and spoke to Krishna with great sadness. How can I shoot arrows at Bhishma, who blessed me as a child? How can I kill Drona, who taught me everything I know about fighting? These are my family members, my teachers, my loved ones. Even if they are on the wrong side, they are still dear to me. Arjuna's voice cracked as he continued. What good will come from winning this war if I have to kill my own people? Even if we win the kingdom, how can we be happy? Our victory will be built on the blood of our family. This cannot be right. The great warrior threw down his bow and arrows. I will not fight, he said firmly. Better that they kill me without fighting back than for me to kill them. At least then my hands will be clean. This moment shows the terrible choice that sometimes faces good people. Should we hurt those we love to stop them from doing wrong? Should we break one sacred law to follow another? Arjuna faced the hardest question any person can face. When our heart says one thing and our duty says another, which voice should we follow? Part 3: The Dual Nature of Dharma Revealed. When Arjuna threw down his weapons and refused to fight, Lord Krishna began to teach him the deepest truth about what is right and wrong. Krishna said to him, "You think you understand Dharma, but you see only half of it." Krishna explained that people often learn Ahimsa paramo dharma, non-violence is the highest law. This is true. We should never hurt any living thing without good reason. We should be kind and gentle. We should protect life, not destroy it. But Krishna told Arjuna there is more to this teaching. The complete truth is, Ahimsa paramo dharma, dharma himsa tataiva cha. This means Non-violence is the highest law, but violence to protect Dharma is also Dharma. Krishna taught that Dharma is not just one simple rule. Dharma changes based on what is happening around us. What is right for a priest is different from what is right for a king. What is right in peaceful times is different from what is right when evil people hurt good people. Look around you, Krishna said to Arjuna. These men you face have stolen land from your family. They have tried to kill you many times. They have hurt innocent people. They refuse all chances for peace. Now they bring armies to destroy what is good and right. Krishna explained that when wicked people use force to hurt others, good people must use force to stop them. This is not breaking the law of nonviolence. This is following the law of nonviolence. By stopping those who hurt others, we protect the innocent. Krishna taught that Dharma itself has two faces. Most of the time, Dharma says do not hurt anyone. But when evil people hurt good people, Dharma says you must stop them, even if it means fighting. The same Dharma that tells us to be gentle also tells us to be strong when gentleness cannot protect what is right. The same Dharma that says do not kill also says do not let killers destroy the innocent. Krishna told Arjuna that what matters is not just what we do, but why we do it. A person who kills for money or anger commits a terrible sin, but a person who fights to protect others and stop evil does what Dharma requires. Part 4. The Framework of Dharma Yuddha, Righteous War. War cannot happen just because someone wants to fight. Hindu teachings say that war must follow the rules of Dharma Yuddha, which means righteous war. This is completely different from fighting for money, land, or power. The great books of Hindu wisdom teach us exactly when war is allowed. The Mahabharata shows us through the story of the Pandavas. The Ramayana teaches us through Rama's battles. The Arthashastra explains the rules for kings. The Manusmriti tells us what makes war right or wrong. All these holy books agree on one thing: war must serve Dharma, not destroy it. 3 important questions must be answered before any war can be called righteous. First, when can we fight? Only when all other ways to stop evil have failed. Only when innocent people are being hurt and no one else will protect them. Only when Dharma itself is in danger. Second, who can start such a war? Not everyone has the right to wage war. Kings and rulers who protect their people can fight. Warriors whose duty is to defend the good can fight. But they must be pure in heart and mind. They cannot fight for personal gain or revenge. Third, how must the fighting happen? Even in war, there are rules. You cannot kill those who do not fight. You cannot attack at night when enemies sleep. You cannot use weapons that cause unnecessary suffering. You cannot destroy temples, farms, or homes of common people. This framework shows that Hindu thought about war is not simple. It requires careful thinking about right and wrong. It demands that even violence must serve the higher purpose of protecting righteousness. Chapter 2. The Foundations of Just War, Sacred Texts, and the Conditions for Righteous Combat. Part 1. War as the Last Resort, the Fourfold Path of Conflict Resolution. War must be the very last choice when all other paths fail completely. The wise leaders of old knew this truth well. Before any sword is drawn, 4 different ways must be tried to solve the problem without fighting. First comes Sama, which means talking and making peace through words. Leaders must sit together and speak honestly about their problems. They must listen to each other and try to find a way that helps everyone. This is the best path because no one gets hurt. If talking does not work, then comes Dana, which means giving gifts and good things to make peace. Sometimes the other side will stop fighting if they receive wealth, land, or other benefits. This way costs money, but saves lives. When gifts fail, then comes Beta, which means making the enemy groups split apart. This uses smart thinking to turn some enemies into friends. If the enemy cannot stay united, they become weak and may choose peace instead of war. Only when all 3 peaceful ways fail completely, then comes Danda, which means using force and fighting. This is the last and worst choice, but sometimes it must be done. Lord Krishna himself showed this perfect way when he went to make peace with the Kauravas. He spoke kindly to them and offered many compromises. He even said the Pandavas would accept just 5 villages instead of their whole kingdom. But Duryodhana was filled with pride and hate. He refused every offer for peace. He would not give even the tiny bit of land that could fit under a needlepoint. Krishna tried every peaceful method first. He used wise words, offered benefits, and showed the Kauravas how their own people were turning against them. Only when all hope for peace died completely did Krishna accept that war must come. This teaches us that righteous war can only begin when peace becomes impossible despite honest efforts. War for greed or quick power is always wrong. War without trying peace first is Adharma. Part 2. Just cause, protection, justice, and the restoration of cosmic order. Just cause, protection, justice, and the restoration of cosmic order. War becomes righteous only when it serves the sacred purpose of protecting Dharma. The scriptures teach us that 4 causes make fighting necessary and good. First is the protection of innocent people. When evil rulers hurt the weak and helpless, good warriors must fight to save them. The righteous cannot watch innocent blood flow without acting. This is not choice, but duty. Second is punishing those who break Dharma and harm good people. When wicked men destroy justice and terrorize the righteous, someone must stop them. The sword becomes the tool of divine justice in the hands of the good. Third is defending oneself and one's people from attack. When enemies come with weapons to destroy what is rightfully yours, fighting back serves Dharma. No one should surrender their life or land to evil without a battle. Fourth is restoring cosmic order when it has been badly broken. When the world falls into chaos because of great injustice, war may be needed to bring back balance and peace. The Pandavas fought for all these reasons. Duryodhana had stolen their kingdom through trickery and lies. He refused to return even their small portion after 13 years of exile, as he had promised. He would not give them even 5 villages to avoid war. The cosmic order was broken. Innocent people suffered under his cruel rule. Justice demanded action. This was not a war for more land or wealth. This was not fighting for pride or revenge. The Pandavas fought only to restore what was rightfully theirs and to save Dharma itself. The scriptures make this distinction clear. Wars fought for greed, conquest, or personal glory are always wrong. Only wars that defend righteousness and protect the innocent can be called Dharma Yuddha. The cause must be pure and the need real before any weapon is raised. Part 3. Right authority. The sacred duty of the Kshatriya warrior class. The sacred texts teach us that only certain people can rightfully use force and violence. In Hindu society, this right belongs to the Kshatriya class alone. These are the warriors and rulers who were born to protect others. The Kshatriya has 2 duties that cannot be separated. First, they must protect good people from evil ones. Second, they must punish those who harm the innocent. This is their svadharma, their special duty given by birth. No other class can take this responsibility. When Brahmins study and teach, when Vaishyas trade and farm, when Shudras serve others, this follows Dharma. But if any of these classes try to fight wars, they break Dharma. Violence is not their path. For a Kshatriya, refusing to fight when duty calls is a grave sin. The Bhagavad Gita warns that a warrior who runs from righteous battle commits adharma. They betray their sacred purpose. They fail in their duty to society. Arjuna faced this exact test on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. As a Kshatriya prince, he had both the right and the obligation to fight. When he wanted to lay down his weapons, Krishna reminded him of this truth. Fighting was not his choice, it was his dharma. The Kshatriya receives special training from childhood. They learn to use weapons, but they also learn when to use them. They study justice and protection, not just conquest and killing. Their violence must serve righteousness, never personal gain. This system keeps violence under control. When only trained warriors with proper authority can fight, war cannot come from anger or greed. It can only come from duty. The Kshatriya fights not for themselves, but for Dharma itself. Part 4. Right Intent. Fighting without attachment to outcomes. Krishna spoke to Arjuna about the mind of a true warrior. He said that a righteous fighter must act without wanting anything for himself. This means fighting not for gold or land or praise from others. It means fighting not for revenge against enemies. It means fighting not to become famous or powerful. The warrior must do his duty because it is right, not because he wants something good to happen to him. Krishna called this nishkama karma, action without selfish desire. He told Arjuna that he must fight with all his strength, but he must not care if he wins or loses. You have the right to do your work, Krishna said, but you have no right to the results of your work. You must never work just to get results. You must never stop working because you fear bad results. This teaching seems impossible. How can a warrior fight but not care about winning? How can he use his sword but not want victory? Krishna explained that caring about results makes the mind weak. When you fight for gold, you become greedy. When you fight for revenge, you become angry. When you fight for glory, you become proud. These feelings make you do wrong things. The pure warrior fights only because fighting is his dharma. He protects good people because protecting them is right. He punishes bad people because justice demands it. He does not fight because he hates his enemies. He does not fight because he wants their wealth. His heart stays clean because his reasons stay clean. This makes the difference between righteous war and sinful war. Bad fighters kill because they are angry or greedy. Good fighters kill because Dharma requires it. The action looks the same, but the heart makes it different. When the heart is pure, even killing in war does not create bad karma. Part 5. The Internal Battle. Achieving the Warrior's Proper Mindset. The internal battle. Achieving the warrior's proper mindset. Before a warrior fights in the world outside, he must first win the war inside his own heart. Krishna teaches Arjuna that every person has 6 enemies living within them. These enemies are stronger than any army. They are desire, anger, greed, confusion, pride, and jealousy. Desire makes a person want things they should not have. It makes them fight for the wrong reasons. Anger burns in the heart and makes warriors cruel. They lose their judgment and hurt innocent people. Greed makes fighters want wealth and land instead of justice. Confusion clouds the mind, so warriors cannot see right from wrong. Pride makes them think they are gods. Jealousy makes them hate others for no good reason. A warrior who has not defeated these 6 enemies cannot fight a righteous war. His weapons will serve evil, even if his cause seems good. The poison in his heart will poison everything he does. He will kill from anger, not from duty. He will fight for treasure, not for dharma. Krishna tells Arjuna he must achieve samatvam. This means his heart stays calm whether he wins or loses. He feels the same when people praise him or blame him. Pain and pleasure touch him equally. Victory and defeat are both just outcomes of doing his duty. This calmness is not weakness, it is the greatest strength. When a warrior's mind stays steady like this, he can use force correctly. He fights when Dharma requires it. He stops when Dharma says stop. He does not get excited by battle or scared by death. His hand holds the sword, but his heart holds wisdom. Only when the inner war is won can the outer war serve righteousness. The warrior who masters himself can protect others without becoming what he fights against. Chapter 3. The Rules of Engagement. How Righteous Warriors Must Conduct Battle. Part 1. The Sacred Code. Distinguishing Dharma Yuddha from Adharma Yuddha. Warriors must fight with clean hearts and pure purpose. When they take up weapons for the right reasons and follow proper rules, this becomes Dharma Yuddha, righteous war. But when they fight with bad hearts, break the rules of combat, or seek only personal gain, this becomes Adharma Yuddha, unrighteous war. The holy texts tell us that righteous war has strict rules. Warriors must not use tricks or lies. They must not break the ancient laws of combat. They must fight only for duty and truth, never for greed or hatred. They must protect those who cannot fight. They must show mercy to the defeated. Unrighteous war is different. In such wars, fighters use any means to win. They lie and cheat. They harm innocent people. They break sacred promises. They fight only for themselves, not for what is right. Such wars bring great sin upon those who wage them. The great war at Kurukshetra shows us both types of fighting. The Pandavas tried to follow Dharma. They fought for their rightful kingdom. They followed most rules of combat. They protected the innocent. But even they sometimes broke the sacred code when the pressure became too great. Bhima struck Duryodhana below the belt with his mace. This was against the rules of fair fighting. Arjuna killed Karna when Karna was fixing his chariot wheel and could not fight back. These were wrongs, even though the Pandavas were fighting for a just cause. The war shows us that even good warriors can do wrong things when they are desperate or angry. But the texts teach us that breaking these rules brings bad results, even when done for good reasons. True Dharma means following the right path, even when it is hard. Duryodhana and his brothers often fought without Dharma. They used tricks and lies. They broke promises. They harmed the innocent. They fought only for power and wealth, not for what was right. This made their war unrighteous from the beginning. The difference between righteous and unrighteous war is not just about who wins or loses. It is about how the war is fought and why it is fought. A war fought with pure heart and clean methods can be Dharma, even if it brings great pain. But a war fought with bad heart and wrong methods is always Adharma. Part 2. Equal combat. Matching warriors by class and weapon. Equal combat. Matching warriors by class and weapon. In righteous war, warriors must fight only against other warriors who match them. This means a skilled fighter cannot attack someone with less training. A warrior with better weapons cannot fight someone with worse weapons. A senior warrior cannot attack a junior warrior. This rule makes sure the fight is fair. The Mahabharata shows us this rule many times. When Arjuna fought with his bow, he only fought other archers like Karna. When Bhima fought with his mace, he fought other mace fighters like Duryodhana. They did not use their weapons against weaker enemies. This was the right way to fight. A warrior on a horse cannot charge at foot soldiers who have no horses. A man with armor cannot attack a man without armor. A trained fighter cannot kill an untrained person. These fights would not be equal. They would be like a strong man beating a child. There is no honor in such victory. The sacred texts tell us that righteous war tests the heart and skill of warriors. It shows who has more courage. It shows who trained harder. It shows who fights with more devotion to Dharma. But if the fight is not equal, then it only shows who had better weapons or more advantages. This teaches us nothing about true strength. When warriors fight equals, both sides can show their real ability. Both can fight with full effort. Both can win or lose with honor. The victory means something because it was earned fairly. The defeat means something because the warrior tried his best against a worthy enemy. If a warrior kills someone much weaker than himself, he gains nothing good. He shows no skill. He shows no courage. He only shows that he can harm the helpless. This brings shame, not honor. This is why the rules demand equal combat. Part 3. Protection of non-combatants and the sanctity of civilian life. Protection of non-combatants and the sanctity of civilian life. The Holy Scriptures teach us that war must never touch those who do not fight. This rule stands above all others in righteous war. Those who carry weapons may face other weapon bearers, but those who live in peace must remain untouched by violence. The sacred texts list many types of people who must never be harmed. Women cannot be attacked, no matter whose side they support. Children must be kept safe from all fighting. Old people who can no longer fight deserve protection. Farmers who grow food, merchants who sell goods, and travelers who journey from place to place, none of these may be hurt. Holy men who pray and teach cannot be touched by weapons. Sick people lying in their beds are protected. Anyone doing daily work that helps life continue, cooking, healing, building, or caring for others, these people stay outside the war. The rules also protect enemies who cannot fight back right now. A warrior eating his meal cannot be attacked. Someone drinking water is safe. Sleeping enemies must not be harmed. If a fighter drops his weapon, no one may strike him. Wounded warriors lying on the ground are protected. When enemies run away from battle, they cannot be killed while fleeing. If someone surrenders and asks for mercy, the fighting stops for that person. Even enemies who bow down and give up must be treated with kindness. These laws exist because war should only be between those who choose to fight. People living their normal lives have done nothing wrong. They plant crops, care for families, serve the gods, or learn wisdom. Their work makes life good for everyone. War must not destroy what keeps society alive. The wise teachers say that attacking innocent people brings terrible karma. It makes the whole war unholy. Even if a warrior fights for good reasons, harming peaceful people turns him into a sinner. His cause becomes tainted. His victory becomes meaningless. A righteous warrior fights only other warriors. He protects the weak. He shows mercy to those who cannot defend themselves. This is how war stays connected to Dharma, instead of becoming simple killing. Part 4. Weapons, Timing, and the Boundaries of Combat. Weapons, Timing, and the Boundaries of Combat. The ancient teachings tell us that not all weapons are proper for righteous warriors. A dharmic fighter must use only clean and honest weapons. He cannot poison his arrows or spears. He cannot hide sharp blades in food or gifts. He cannot use fire arrows that burn everything they touch. These weapons cause too much pain and spread destruction beyond the target. The holy books say that barbed weapons are forbidden. These are arrows and spears with hooks that tear flesh when pulled out. A righteous warrior fights to defeat his enemy, not to torture him. He uses straight swords, clean arrows, and simple spears. His weapons kill quickly or wound cleanly. They do not cause extra suffering. Warriors must fight only when the sun shines. When darkness comes, all fighting stops. This rule comes from the gods themselves. Night fighting brings confusion and fear. In darkness, warriors cannot see who they attack. They might kill friends by mistake. They might harm innocent people who walk nearby. When sunset arrives, even the fiercest enemies put down their weapons. They tend their wounds and eat their food. Sometimes they even talk together about the day's battle. They share water and medicine. They help carry away the dead with respect. This shows that war does not destroy all human kindness. The next morning, when sunlight returns, fighting begins again. Warriors greet each other with respect before they fight. They know that yesterday's enemy shared food with them in the darkness. War must happen in special places far from where people live. The battlefield cannot touch villages or farms. It cannot come near temples or schools. Fighting must stay away from markets where people buy food. It must avoid roads where travelers walk. This keeps war separate from normal life. Families can still plant crops, and children can still learn. Priests can still pray, and merchants can still trade. War becomes like a storm that passes over one mountain while leaving other valleys in peace. When warriors respect these boundaries, war stays controlled. It does not grow wild and destroy everything good in the world. Part 5. Treatment of the defeated. Mercy, honor, and rehabilitation. Treatment of the defeated. Mercy, honor, and rehabilitation. When the last arrow falls and the fighting stops, the real test of Dharma begins. Victory in war does not give the winner the right to destroy the defeated. The holy books teach that how you treat your enemy after you beat them shows your true character. A righteous warrior shows mercy when the battle ends. The defeated enemy deserves honor, not shame. When warriors surrender, they must be treated with respect. Their weapons may be taken, but their dignity must remain. They should receive food, water, and care for their wounds. No one should torture prisoners or mock them for losing. The victor must remember that today's enemy might have been yesterday's friend. Captured lands cannot be robbed or destroyed. The winner cannot take everything the defeated people own. Families should keep their homes and farms. Merchants should keep their shops. Children should keep their schools. The new ruler must protect all people equally, whether they fought for him or against him. The conqueror becomes responsible for the welfare of all people in the defeated territory. He must make sure they have food and water. He must keep the peace and stop crime. He must allow people to follow their own customs and worship their own gods. A righteous king rules for the good of all people, not just for his own benefit. Good rulers help rebuild what war has broken. They repair damaged temples and schools. They help farmers plant new crops. They encourage trade to return. They work to heal the wounds that fighting created between different groups of people. The great stories show both good and bad examples. Some kings treated defeated enemies with kindness and earned their loyalty. Other kings were cruel and created hatred that lasted for generations. The holy books teach that true victory means turning enemies into friends. Chapter 4. The Great Exemplars. Legendary Wars that Tested the Boundaries of Dharma. Part 1. The Ramayana. Rama's War against Ravana. In the great battle between good and evil, Lord Rama fought against the demon king Ravana to save his wife Sita. This war shows us the clearest example of when fighting becomes necessary and right. Ravana was born as a learned Brahmin, someone who should have been wise and good, but he chose the path of evil. He stole women from their homes. He hurt innocent holy men who were praying in the forests. He stopped sacred ceremonies. He broke all the rules that keep the world in balance. Because of these terrible actions, Ravana lost his protection as a Brahmin. Now he could be fought and killed by a warrior. Rama did not want to fight at first. He tried peaceful ways to get Sita back. He sent messengers to talk to Ravana. The monkey warrior Angada went to Lanka as the final messenger. Angada asked Ravana to return Sita and avoid war. But Ravana refused. He laughed at the peaceful offer. Only then did Rama decide that war was the only way. Even when fighting against a demon, Rama followed all the rules of proper warfare. He fought fairly. He did not attack at night when enemies could not see. He did not harm those who surrendered. He respected the customs of combat, even though Ravana did not deserve such kindness. This war was different from other fights. Here was a clear choice between right and wrong. Rama protected innocent people. Ravana hurt them. Rama followed Dharma, the path of goodness. Ravana followed Adharma, the path of evil. There was no confusion about who was good and who was bad. The Ramayana teaches us that war can be right when we must protect helpless people from those who harm them. But we must try peace first. We must follow proper rules even in war. We must fight only to stop evil, not for anger or revenge. When good people fight against clear evil to protect others, such war serves righteousness. Part 2. The Mahabharata. Complexity, Compromise, and Moral Ambiguity. The Mahabharata war shows us a harder truth about fighting. Even when we start with good reasons, war makes people do wrong things. The Pandavas had the right to their kingdom. Duryodhana stole it from them through cheating. The Pandavas tried to make peace many times. They even said they would take just 5 villages instead of half the kingdom. But Duryodhana said no. He would not give them even enough land to stick a needle in. When the war began, both sides promised to follow the rules of battle. They would fight only during the day. They would not kill someone who had no weapon. They would not attack someone who was running away. These were the sacred laws of war. But as the fighting went on, both sides broke these rules. Yudhishthira was always truthful, but when Dronacharya was fighting too well, Krishna made a plan. They told Yudhishthira to shout that Ashwatthama was dead. This was true. An elephant named Ashwatthama had died. But Dronacharya thought his son Ashwatthama was dead. In his sadness, he put down his weapons. Then Drishtadyumna killed him. Yudhishthira told the truth, but he meant to lie. This broke his pure heart. Karna was the greatest archer after Arjuna. One day his chariot wheel got stuck in mud. As he tried to pull it out, he had no weapon in his hands. This was when Krishna told Arjuna to shoot. Arjuna killed Karna when Karna could not fight back. Bhima fought Duryodhana with clubs. The rules said you must not hit below the waist, but Bhima hit Duryodhana on his thigh and broke it. On the last night, Ashwatthama attacked the Pandava camp while everyone was sleeping. This broke the rule about fighting only in daylight. Each time someone broke a rule, they had a reason. But each broken rule made the war more evil. The Mahabharata shows us that war makes even good people do bad things. When we fight, we often become what we fight against. This is why war, even righteous war, brings sorrow to everyone. Part 3. Ashoka's Transformation. From Conquest to Compassion. Ashoka's Transformation. From Conquest to Compassion. Emperor Ashoka ruled the Mauryan Empire long after the great wars of the epics. He was a powerful king who wanted to make his kingdom bigger. Around the year 261 BCE, he decided to attack the kingdom of Kalinga. This kingdom was on the eastern coast of India. It was rich and strong, but Ashoka's army was stronger. The war was terrible. Ashoka's soldiers killed more than 100,000 people. Many more people were hurt badly. Whole families died. Children lost their parents. Parents lost their children. Villages burned. The rivers ran red with blood. Ashoka won the war. He made Kalinga part of his empire. But after the fighting ended, something changed inside the emperor. He walked through the battlefield and saw all the dead bodies. He heard the crying of women who had lost their husbands. He saw children searching for their dead fathers. The victory felt empty. Ashoka realized that winning a war by killing so many people was not really winning at all. He wrote about his feelings on stone pillars for everyone to read. He said he felt deep sadness about the pain he had caused. He was sorry not just for the soldiers who died, but for all the ordinary people who suffered. Ashoka said the worst part was thinking about the families. When a soldier dies, his wife becomes a widow, his children become orphans, his old parents lose their son who took care of them. The king realized that every dead person had people who loved them. This made Ashoka change completely. He stopped fighting wars to get more land. He became a Buddhist and started following the path of non-violence. He told his people to be kind to all living things. He built hospitals and roads instead of armies. He sent teachers to spread peace instead of soldiers to spread fear. Ashoka learned that even when you win a war for good reasons, the killing can destroy your soul. Violence creates more violence. Pain creates more pain. Even a king who wins everything can lose himself in the process. Part 4. Gandhi's Reinterpretation. Absolute Ahimsa in Modern Context. Gandhi came from a tradition that spoke of Dharma Yuddha and the duty of warriors to fight. But he read the ancient texts differently. Where others saw permission for righteous war, he saw a higher truth about non-violence. Gandhi believed that Ahimsa was not just one rule among many. It was the most important rule of all. He said violence could never bring true peace. Even when people fought for good causes, the fighting itself made them less good. Violence created more violence. Hatred created more hatred. Gandhi studied the old stories carefully. He saw how even good people like Arjuna felt terrible about having to kill. He saw how Ashoka won his war but lost his peace of mind. Gandhi decided this showed that all violence was wrong. Gandhi created a new way to fight injustice without weapons. He called it Satyagraha, which means holding on to truth. When British rulers made unfair laws, Gandhi told Indians not to obey them. When the British made Indians pay taxes on salt, Gandhi walked to the sea and made his own salt. Thousands of people joined him. The British arrested Gandhi and his followers many times. They beat them with clubs, they put them in prison. But Gandhi's people never fought back with violence. They just kept refusing to obey unjust laws. This confused the British rulers. They knew how to fight armies. They did not know how to fight people who would not fight back. Slowly, the world began to see that the British were bullying peaceful people. This made Britain look bad. Gandhi proved that people could win freedom without killing anyone. His way was harder and slower than war. Many people died in British prisons, but Gandhi said this was better than becoming killers themselves. Gandhi changed how many Hindus thought about their old teachings. Some people said he was right. Violence only created more problems. Other people said, sometimes you must fight to protect innocent people. This debate continues today. Gandhi showed that the ancient ideal of Ahimsa could work in the modern world, but he also showed how difficult it was to follow this path completely. Part 5. The Eternal Debate: Contextual Ethics versus Universal Pacifism. The debate between old teachings and Gandhi's way continues to divide Hindu thinkers today. Some say the ancient books were right. When evil people attack innocent families, good people must fight back. They point to the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna tells Arjuna that warriors must protect the helpless. These thinkers say Ahimsa was never meant to be absolute. It was one principle among many. But others follow Gandhi's path completely. They say violence always creates more violence. Even when good people fight bad people, the fighting spreads like fire. Children grow up wanting revenge. Innocent people die in every war. These followers believe Ahimsa must be total, or it means nothing. Modern warfare makes this debate harder. The old rules of Dharma Yuddha were written for ancient battles. Warriors fought face to face with swords and arrows. They followed strict rules about when to fight and how to fight. They did not kill civilians or destroy whole cities. Today's weapons are different. One bomb can kill thousands of people instantly. Nuclear weapons can destroy entire countries. Terrorists hide among innocent people. Cyber attacks can cripple nations without killing anyone directly. How can the old rules work with such power? Some Hindu thinkers say the ancient framework is broken. When proportional response becomes impossible, Dharma Yuddha cannot guide us. If one terrorist attack could provoke nuclear war, how do we measure right response? The old texts never imagined such destruction. Others argue the principles remain valid even if the methods change. Protecting innocent life is still Dharma. Stopping evil is still necessary. They say we must adapt the ancient wisdom to modern circumstances without abandoning it completely. This tension remains alive in Hindu communities worldwide. Families debate whether soldiers should serve in modern armies. Religious leaders argue about supporting defensive wars. Young people question whether ancient warrior ethics apply to contemporary conflicts. The debate has no easy answers. Both sides draw from sacred texts and respected teachers. Both claim to serve Dharma and protect life. This ongoing discussion shows that Hindu thought continues to grow and respond to changing times while honoring its deepest values. Chapter 5: Practical Wisdom and Statecraft. Kautilya's Arthashastra and the Realpolitik of Righteous Rule. Part 1: The Science of Victory. Strategic Pragmatism meets Ethical Constraint. The Science of Victory. Strategic Pragmatism meets Ethical Constraint. Peace is better than war. This is what the wise teacher Chanakya taught in his great book called Arthashastra. He wrote this book around 300 years before Christ was born. Chanakya knew that kings must sometimes fight, but he always said peace brings more good to the people. War brings death and pain. Peace brings food and happiness. A good king tries peace first. Only when enemies will not listen does a king pick up weapons. This is the way of wisdom. But Chanakya also knew that bad kings exist. Some rulers want to steal land and hurt people. When such evil comes near your kingdom, you cannot pray it away. You must be ready to fight. You must be smart about how you fight. The Arthashastra teaches many ways to protect a kingdom. Some ways are clean and good. Some ways are dark and hard to accept. A king may need to send spies into enemy lands. He may need to spread false stories to confuse his enemies. Sometimes he must even kill enemy leaders in secret. These actions seem wrong when we think about Dharma Yuddha. The sacred rules of righteous war say warriors must fight face to face. They must be honest and brave. They cannot use tricks or lies. But Chanakya asks a hard question. What if being honest gets your people killed? What if following all the noble rules lets evil win? Should a good king watch his children starve because he was too pure to use smart tactics? This creates a big problem in our thinking. We have two different teachings. One says fight with honor, even if you lose. The other says win by any means needed to save your people. Maybe both teachings are right in different ways. A warrior on the battlefield should follow Dharma Yuddha. He fights for his own honor and soul. But a king carries the weight of millions of lives. His choices affect not just himself, but everyone in his kingdom. The king's dharma may be different from the warrior's dharma. The ruler must think like a father protecting his family. Sometimes fathers must do hard things to keep their children safe. This does not make them evil. It makes them responsible. Chanakya understood that ruling is not simple. Good and evil are not always clear when you hold power over many lives. The Arthashastra tries to balance what is right with what works. It teaches that peace is the goal, but preparation for war is the price of peace. Part 2. The Hierarchy of Strategies. When peace fails, prepare for war. Chanakya teaches that a wise king has many tools to handle conflict. War is just one tool, and it should be the last one used. The Arthashastra divides conflict into 3 types: open war, secret war, and silent war. Open war means armies fighting on battlefields. Everyone can see it. This is the most costly type of war. Many soldiers die. Much money is spent. The kingdom suffers. Secret war uses spies and hidden actions. The enemy does not know who is attacking them or how. This costs less than open war. Fewer people die, but it still causes damage. Silent war is the quietest type. It uses money, trade, and alliances to weaken enemies. No one fights with swords. No blood is shed, but the enemy still loses power. The Arthashastra says kings should always try peace first. Book 7 teaches many ways to avoid war. A king can make treaties with enemies. He can give gifts to buy friendship. He can marry his daughter to an enemy prince. He can trade goods instead of trading blows. Sometimes kings can join together against a common enemy. 2 weak kingdoms can defeat one strong kingdom if they work together. The Arthashastra calls this making alliances. A wise king also knows when to bend. If a stronger enemy demands something small, it may be better to give it than to fight. This is called strategic giving way. It saves the kingdom for bigger battles later. But even while seeking peace, a smart king prepares for war. He builds strong armies. He stores food and weapons. He trains his soldiers. He builds forts. He makes sure his people can fight if needed. Before starting any war, a king must think carefully. He must ask, is my army stronger than theirs? Can I afford this war? Will my people support me? What will I gain if I win? What will I lose if I fail? The king must also choose the right time to fight. It is better to attack when the enemy is weak. Maybe they just fought another war. Maybe their harvest failed. Maybe their king just died. A wise king waits for the right moment. The Arthashastra teaches that kings must be ready to change their plans. If diplomacy starts working, stop preparing for war. If peace talks fail, be ready to fight. A good king moves like water, flowing around obstacles and changing shape as needed. War should never be fought for glory or pride. Kings fight only to protect their people and keep their kingdom safe. The goal is always peace and prosperity, not conquest and fame. Part 3. The Mandala Theory. Navigating Alliances and Enmities. The Mandala Theory states in circles. Kautilya taught that kingdoms are arranged in circles around each other like rings in water. This is called the Raja Mandala, or Circle of States. The pattern is always the same. Your neighbors are your natural enemies. Their neighbors become your natural friends. Why does this happen? Neighbors fight over the same things. They want the same rivers, mountains, and trade roads. They see each other's land and think it should be theirs. When one neighbor grows strong, others feel threatened. When one neighbor gets weak, others want to take their territory. But the kingdom next to your enemy can become your friend. They also fear your enemy. They also want to stop your enemy from growing too strong. So distant kingdoms often join together against the powers between them. This creates circles of friendship and hatred that spread outward like ripples. Your enemy's enemy becomes your friend. Your friend's enemy becomes your enemy. Smart kings watch these patterns and use them. The Mandala theory teaches kings to act before threats become too big. If your neighbor is getting ready for war, do not wait for them to attack. Strike first while you still can. If your neighbor is making alliances against you, break those alliances quickly. This thinking allows preventive war. A king can attack before being attacked if the threat is real enough. The Arthashastra says this is wise policy, not wrongdoing. Waiting for your enemy to grow strong and then attack you is foolish. Kings must also work constantly to build the right alliances. Make friends with distant kingdoms who share your enemies. Give them gifts and make treaties with them. Help them when their neighbors threaten them. This way your enemies face pressure from many sides. The circles of states are always changing. Today's friend may become tomorrow's enemy if their situation changes. Today's enemy may become tomorrow's friend if a bigger threat appears. Kings must watch these changes and adjust their plans. But this raises hard questions. Can preventive war be righteous? The Dharma Yuddha rules say you need a just cause to fight. Does fear of future attack count as just cause? Or does the Mandala theory follow different rules than righteous warfare? Some say the king's dharma is different from the warrior's dharma. The king must protect his people even if it means using methods that warriors should not use. Others say dharma is the same for everyone, and preventive war is still wrong, even if it is practical. Part 4. The tension between idealism and pragmatism. This creates a problem that Hindu thinkers have wrestled with for many centuries. The Arthashastra teaches methods that directly break the rules of Dharma Yuddha. Where righteous warfare demands face-to-face combat between equals, Kautilya says to kill enemy leaders through poison or hired killers. Where Dharma Yuddha forbids lies and tricks, the Arthashastra fills pages with ways to deceive enemies. The text tells rulers to send spies into enemy lands to spread false rumors and create fights between their nobles. It teaches how to make enemies afraid through threats and shows of force before battle even starts. It explains how to bribe enemy soldiers to switch sides and how to attack when enemies least expect it. These methods would shame any warrior who follows the code of righteous battle. But Kautilya argues that kings face different duties than warriors. A warrior fights for honor and personal dharma. A king fights to protect millions of people who depend on him. If the king loses because he followed noble rules, those innocent people suffer or die. Some Hindu teachers say this makes sense. They argue that the king's dharma is to protect his subjects, not to win glory in fair fights. If assassination saves a war that would kill thousands, then assassination becomes righteous. If lies prevent a battle that would destroy cities, then lies serve dharma. Other teachers disagree strongly. They say dharma means the same thing for everyone, whether king or farmer. Wrong actions stay wrong no matter who does them or why. They point to stories where good kings chose defeat rather than break righteous laws. This argument has never been settled. Hindu texts contain both views without choosing between them. The Mahabharata shows heroes struggling with exactly these choices. Even Krishna, who represents divine wisdom, sometimes uses tricks that seem to break dharma rules. The tension remains because both sides speak truth. Kings do bear special responsibility for their people. But moral laws do seem to apply to everyone equally. Hindu thought holds both ideas without forcing them to agree. Chapter 6, The Verdict of Scripture, Synthesizing Hindu Philosophy on Justified Warfare. Part 1. Yes, war can be justified, but only under strict conditions. The sacred texts speak with one voice on this matter. War can be justified, but only when all conditions are met together. This is not a choice made lightly or quickly. It is a path taken only when Dharma itself is at stake, and all other paths have failed. Krishna teaches Arjuna that righteous war must serve a just cause. This means protecting those who cannot protect themselves. It means stopping those who harm the innocent. It means fighting against rulers who break their sacred duties. It means restoring the order that evil has destroyed. But having a good reason is not enough. The warrior must first try every other way to solve the problem. He must try talking. He must try making deals. He must try using wise counselors. He must try giving gifts. Only when all peaceful ways fail can he pick up his weapons. The authority to wage war cannot belong to just anyone. Only those born to rule and protect can make this choice. Private people cannot decide to start wars on their own. Kings and rightful leaders who have the duty to protect their people can make this hard choice. The mind of the warrior matters most of all. He cannot fight for his own gain. He cannot fight because he wants wealth or fame. He cannot fight because he hates his enemies. He must fight only because it is his duty. He must fight without caring if he wins or loses. He must fight without wanting anything for himself. Even in war, there are rules that cannot be broken. Warriors cannot harm those who surrender. They cannot kill women or children or priests. They cannot destroy farms or temples. They cannot use poison or fire as weapons. They cannot attack at night or when enemies are sleeping. These rules make war different from simple violence. This teaching is much like what wise people in other lands have also said about when war can be right. But the Hindu way adds something special. It says the warrior must prepare his soul before he prepares his weapons. He must learn to act without anger. He must learn to fight without hate. This makes the battle inside his own heart as important as the battle on the field. The ancient texts teach that even righteous war brings spiritual danger. Every life taken creates karma that must be faced. Every act of violence leaves marks on the soul. This is why warriors need special ceremonies after war to clean themselves spiritually. War is never good in itself. It is medicine that tastes bitter, but sometimes heals. Peace is always better than war. Talking is always better than fighting. But when evil grows strong and threatens Dharma, then righteous people must act. Part 2. The Primacy of Ahimsa. Violence always requires justification. The ancient texts say, Ahimsa paramo dharma. Non-violence is the highest law. This teaching stands at the very center of Hindu thought. It means that not hurting anyone is the best way to live. This rule comes before all others. Because of this teaching, violence always needs a very good reason. When someone wants to fight or hurt others, they must prove why it is right. The burden falls on them to show that their cause is just. They cannot simply say, I want to fight. They must show that fighting is the only way left. Even when war becomes necessary, it remains a sin that stains the soul. The texts teach clearly that killing creates bad karma. This karma sticks to the person who kills, even when they kill for good reasons. Warriors who fight just wars still carry the weight of the lives they take. This is why special ceremonies exist for warriors after battle. They must clean themselves through prayer and ritual. They must ask for forgiveness for the violence they did. Without these ceremonies, the karma of killing will harm their souls. The scriptures always present peace as better than war. A king who rules wisely and keeps peace does better than a king who wins battles. Trade brings more good than conquest. Talking solves problems better than fighting. The text praise rulers who avoid war through smart planning and fair dealing. When the Mahabharata ends its great war, it does not celebrate victory. Instead, it shows the sadness and loss that war brings. Even the winners feel grief for all who died. The text teaches that war, even when right, brings suffering to everyone. This makes Hindu thinking different from other warrior traditions. Many cultures sing songs about brave fighters and glorious battles. They make heroes of those who kill enemies. But Hindu texts warn that violence damages the soul of everyone it touches. The teaching remains clear through all the stories and rules about war. Violence may sometimes be needed, but it is never good in itself. It is like cutting off a diseased arm to save the body. The cutting helps, but it still causes pain and loss. Part 3. The Warrior's Spiritual Challenge. Fighting without becoming corrupted. When a warrior goes to war, the hardest battle is not against the enemy in front of him. The hardest battle is against the evil thoughts inside his own heart. Krishna teaches Arjuna that physical death in battle is not the worst thing that can happen to a warrior. The worst thing is when the warrior's soul becomes dirty with anger, hate, and pride. Krishna says to Arjuna, "You must fight this war, but you must fight it with a clean heart. Do not let anger fill your mind when you kill your enemies. Do not feel joy when you win. Do not feel sadness when you lose. Keep your heart steady like a rock in a storm." This teaching is very hard to follow. How can a man kill other men without feeling anger? How can he fight without wanting to win? Krishna explains that the warrior must do his duty because it is right, not because he wants something from it. He must fight like a doctor who cuts off a sick arm. The doctor does not cut because he likes to hurt people. He cuts because it will help the patient. The warrior must keep his mind on God while he fights. He must remember that all people, even his enemies, have the same divine light inside them. When he kills an enemy, he is only destroying the body. The soul cannot be killed. If the warrior keeps this truth in his mind, he will not become proud or cruel. Krishna teaches that the battle inside the warrior's heart is more important than the battle on the field. If the warrior wins the war but loses his goodness, he has really lost everything. If he dies in battle but keeps his soul pure, he has won the greatest victory. The warrior must practice this self-control every day, not just in war. He must learn to stay calm when people make him angry. He must learn to help others without wanting praise. He must learn to do hard work without complaining. Only then will he be ready to fight without becoming evil himself. Part 4. The Legacy and Relevance. Ancient Wisdom for Modern Conflicts. The ancient teachers understood something important. They knew that people in their time would face the same hard choices that people face today. They knew that bad people would always try to hurt good people. They knew that sometimes good people would have to fight back to protect what is right. Today we see wars all over the world. Some fights are between big armies. Some fights are done by small groups who hide and attack innocent people. Some fights use weapons that can destroy whole cities. The old rules were made for warriors who fought with swords and arrows. But the wisdom behind those rules still teaches us important things. The old books say we must always try to protect people who cannot protect themselves. This means women, children, old people, and sick people should never be hurt in war. Today's laws about war say the same thing. The old books say warriors should only use enough force to win, not more. Today's laws say the same thing. The old books say we should not destroy the land and water that people need to live. Today we worry about this too. But the old teachings give us something that today's laws do not give us. They tell us about the heart of the warrior. They tell us that the person who fights must be good inside. They tell us that fighting should make us sad, not happy. They tell us that we must always remember that our enemies are people too. The biggest teaching from the old books is this: the warrior must win the fight inside his own heart before he can fight the right way outside. He must learn to stay calm when he is angry. He must learn to fight without hating. He must learn to kill without becoming a killer in his heart. This is very hard to do. Maybe it is too hard for most people, but this is what the old teachers ask of anyone who wants to fight for what is right. Today we have new problems that the old teachers did not know about. We have weapons that can kill millions of people at once. We have people who hide among innocent people and use them as shields. We have wars that go on for many years with no clear winner. The old rules may not work perfectly for these new problems, but the old wisdom about the warrior's heart still matters. It still teaches us that fighting should always make us sad. It still teaches us that we must try every peaceful way first. It still teaches us that protecting innocent people is more important than winning.